Alright, let's take a look at a classic Radio Shack radio controlled Sherman tank. Now this is the tank I got for Christmas one year. Not this exact one. This is one I found at a retro toy store a few weeks ago. But this is the one I had for Christmas years ago. Absolutely love this thing. I love tanks in general. I think they're really cool machines. One of my favorite games I like to play on my PS4 is the World of Tanks game. And I drive a Sherman in there. I have such a great time with that game, driving a Sherman around. Anyway, Sherman tank. Pretty cool. This is the earlier release, I believe, of this tank. Radio Shack had another release that had a turret that you could turn. It had like a little searchlight on it as well. It was a little bit more different than this one, but I think this is the first release. This is the one I remember the most. I don't remember the other one, but I have seen it. I love the artwork on the box. It shows the exact tank you're getting, which is really cool. Got the remote control. On the side of the box has another little view of the tank. Scale model of the famous World War II armored tank. We're going to discuss that when I get to the tank, looking at it. Battery-powered tank with a remote unit you control movement. Maneuvers forward, turns left and right. Climbs a 45-degree incline. 27 megahertz operation. Awesome. Of course, on the side of the box, you have the kids there playing with it. Classic 70s artwork there. So let's open up the box and see how it came packed. So inside the box, we have our remote control. We have the cannon. And, of course, we have our tank. So we take the cannon out first. Then we take the remote control out. We'll take a closer look at this here in a second. Here's the instruction manual. We'll take a closer look at that also here in a minute. And then we pull the tank out. Alright. And we can put the gun on the front. Just like so. Whoop. There we go. Bingo. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the tank. Well, here's the close-up of the tank out of the box. In the back here we have our on-off switch, the power LED. There was an antenna coming out of here, but I took the original radio system out of here, as you saw in an earlier restoration vid, and I put a 2.4 gigahertz radio system inside of this because the original one wasn't working, and I couldn't find one of the chips I needed to fix it. So I decided to scrap that old system and put a more modern system inside of it. It's got some nice details. The turret does turn and it's spring-loaded to go back to the straight-ahead position. That's just asking for a servo to be added to control this thing spinning around on top. I might do that in a future modification video on this, do some detail work on it. Let's take a look at the side view here. Now looking at the side, the first thing you're going to notice is this was mentioned to me by a viewer in my restoration video where I was installing the tracks on this thing, that these are not what Shermans came with. And you know, he's correct. Now, I love Sherman tanks. I've always, you know, they do have a different type of road wheel setup on them. So this doesn't match what the classic Sherman tank that I like, but it's a toy. I don't care. They did say it's a scale model. So you would think if they're claiming it's a scale model, they would have modeled the load wheels like a real Sherman tank. I don't know what type of setup this is, what kind of tank it came from. But if anybody knows, you know, comment down below what kind of setup this is. I don't know if it's something that Radio Shack did to make it so it turns easier, because it kind of pivots right here in the center a little bit. It makes it easier to turn so you don't have so much track making contact with the floor. Anyway, enough of that. Got some nice stickers on here. Of course, on the bottom we have our battery compartment. This one runs on 3C batteries and a 9-volt. It doesn't run on a 9-volt anymore. It just runs on 3Cs with that more modern RC system in there. Radio Shack Sherman tank. Radio control. Flip it around, make it right side up here. There we go, so you can see that crazy thing. Now it's got a little plate here. It says Nico. This is made by Nico in Singapore. It's kind of cool. Nico makes, or Nico, makes some really cool radio control models. I didn't realize they made these Sherman tanks for Radio Shack, which, you know, makes kind of sense though, because Radio Shack does rebrand a lot of stuff. So this is a Nico Sherman tank. Awesome. There's the back end. Cool. See the front. Awesome. Got that barrel looking right at you. Now, one of the viewers also suggested maybe I should add some details by putting some tracks, extra tracks on the front of it, since I have some spares from putting these on. I might do that, but considering it doesn't have the right load wheels on there, I probably won't make the effort to do it. I like to find myself an RC Sherman tank that looks exactly like the big one, but in a small form. But this is kind of cool to have and mess around with. I was doing some testing with it outdoors, making some videos, and I got something else I need to fix on this thing now. It still works, but the left-hand side here, as you can see, doesn't grip very well. What I mean by is it's slipping on the axle inside. Now listen to this side when I move it. Hear the motor? That gear is making connection with that shaft much better than on this side. Simple fix. I think what's happened is, these gears get so old, they end up cracking. That's probably what's happened. The gear's probably cracked on the shaft, and it's not gripping the shaft very tightly. So this track will stall every once in a while. So what I might do is I might find some metal gears to put in this and upgrade it to metal gears inside. Now that would be kind of cool. Okay, enough of looking at the tank. Oh, battery compartment just fell off. Hey, you can see the battery compartment. Let's put the door back on. If I can pick it up, I got no fingernails. I'm gonna get the door back on there. Ain't on there, door. Alrighty. Next, let's look at the remote control. Pretty basic remote control. It's always sprung for the tank to go forward all the time. So if you want to stop the tank, you got to manually hold it back. So when you first turn on this radio, if you're not holding this thing back, the tank's going to take off on you. And of course, we have left and right. So as it's moving, it'll just kill power to one track and just kind of arc off one way, go the other way. It'll kill power to the other track, kind of arc off the other way. It doesn't actually spin 360 in its configuration, in its stock configuration, but with my updated radio system in it, it does. It'll do a 360 like a real tank can do. This runs on. Unfortunately, this radio doesn't work, which is a bummer. But I'm going to keep it with it anyway, so it has all the stock stuff. And I'll just put the extra transmitter in the bottom of the box to mess around with this crazy thing. So let's take a look at the catalog. Radio Shack. Black and white catalog. Open it up. Talks about how to install the batteries. Now the other Sherman tank I was talking about, I think it runs on 4 batteries, if I remember right. I can't remember because I never owned one of the other ones. Talks about how to make the connectors better by squeezing them together to get better connection in the plug. How to do the controls, the care and maintenance of it. Gives you a little bit of troubleshooting back here in the back. And do's and don'ts here. Don't operate in sand or dirt. Don't operate in the street. And don't operate in the rain or puddles. Yeah, you don't want to do that. It'd be awful bad. Awesome. So let's check out the tank, run around a little bit, and we'll close out the video. This is a really cool vintage radio-controlled tank. Needs a little work still, but most of it's been restored. It's bringing up a lot of nice, fond memories of playing with this tank when I was a kid. You know, one of the things I used to do with my tanks, I used to play Army with them all the time. And I would build like little forts or obstacles or things like that for it to crash through and everything. And as I got older and started playing around with fireworks, I discovered the joy of M80s. And those made some really cool explosions. I used to set the M80s off with my model rocket igniters so I could wire them up, push a button and set them off remotely instead of lighting a wick. And unfortunately, my tank didn't survive its last battle when I set an M80 off right underneath of it. It kind of blew it apart, blew the track off of it, busted up the body. It was glorious. Because I did a lot of making movies with my toys and stuff when I was a kid. And some of them I think were kind of cool. I would have liked to digitize them and put them up on my YouTube channel. But anyway, enough of that. What do you think of these old vintage RC tanks? Did you have a particular one that you liked back in the 70s and 80s that you remember having as a kid? I know there was quite a few of them out there. I know there was one that was at Service Merchandise that was a M4. No, it was a more modern tank. I can't remember which one it was. But I had that one too. I've been looking for that one to make a video on it. I got that one much later than this Sherman tank. But anyway, that's Radio Shack's Sherman tank. Pretty awesome. Thanks for watching.